Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of EQ'IN, show where we talk about customizing relationships. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I know it's been a while, but getting back into the swing of things. I am Q. This is my wife, E,
How y'all doing?
and we are thrilled to be back in front of you all once again. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe uh, to the show. Leave in the comments, let us know what you like, any thoughts you have on anything we talk about, anything you would like us to talk about. Once again, we've just been married 16 years. We are not gurus, so we're not relationship experts like a lot of people try to portray themselves to be. We are just a couple who are just talking about some things that we've seen over the years, some things that we've experienced, and some things that may help you in your relationships as well. And so tonight we are talking about mixed signals. And so a lot of times, things in relationships can get crossed when you have a perception of one thing or you're expecting one thing and your spouse or your partners is looking at another. And so I just want to talk about those things and the communications of how we can get on the same page, at to speak. You have anything on that?
I would agree. I think that's good. That communication is definitely key, especially if you're thinking one thing and the other person's thinking another. You just want to try to better understand where the other person is coming from, and then not to assume. So I think this is definitely a good topic to discuss mixed signals and what does that look like.
And so, like we're not mind readers. So we don't know always what's going on each other's minds. So once again, that's why communication is so important. So you don't make a move expecting the other person to know what you're doing. Um, your expectations for marriage. Like a lot of people don't talk about those things. What do you expect the marriage to look like? What's your role in it? What do you do? What do you expect the other person to do? Where I grew up, I saw my mom do this. Well, they're not your mom. Or I saw my dad do this. They're not your dad. Or they're not going to do it the same way your mom and dad did. And so, just remembering, like one of the things I read were a lot of people who got divorced wish they knew the views and values of their partner before they got married.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is part of dealing with that. Um, you have to take time to know who you're marrying. You want to know who you're with. You want to know how they operate, not just that they do things, but why they do things. Were they taught to do that? Were they not taught to do that? Were they raised to know how to pay bills and how to change and handle a household, or were they not? So those are things you need to know. We can't expect someone just to know it just because they say I do, just because they agree to be your husband or agree to be your wife or they want to be your husband does not mean they automatically know how to do those things. And there's nothing wrong if they don't, because those things you can learn, because we can all can learn.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to have an idea about what you're getting into with this person and understand, are you willing to help this person along the way, and are they willing to learn to become better at those things along the way as well?
That's good. That's definitely a good point. Um, to know your partner, but I also that brings us back to our topic on tonight, which is mixed signals. So we also have to be mindful of what's coming across. So we're talking about either prior to the marriage or even during the marriage. Like what are you portraying? Like what are you showcasing to the other person? So say prior to y'all getting married, y'all just dating or whatever, and you're doing whatever particular thing, you know what I mean, that you may be doing at that moment because you feel like, oh, that's something that they like, or I notice that that's, something that they enjoy or whatever it may be. But then once you do get married, you may stop doing those things or you're not doing them anymore. So now it's like, wait a minute, I thought whether it's cooking or whether it's cleaning, whatever it is, like you got to get an understanding of what the person does, because you might be cool with doing it, some different things prior to, and then they thinking, oh, okay, this is something that they gonna continue to do, and you like, nah, I mean, I got you now, so I ain't even like, hold up, but that's not, you was willing, you know what I mean? So I think we just have to be mindful of that when we are in our dating process. And I believe we talked about it previously, just having those conversations of what the expectation is. And ladies and gentlemen, don't start something that you don't plan to continue. because once you put it out there, now the person is going to be expecting you to continue doing whatever that may be. So just keep that in mind as well. Whether you're dating, starting out, and then you're looking, possibly to a future with this person or whatever, just be mindful of it. And if you feel like, oh well, for whatever reason you may decide to stop or you don't no longer want to do that or whatever, communicate. You have to talk about it, because again, it was once perceived that this was something you were cool with doing or whatever the case may be, and for whatever reason you may not want to do that anymore. But communicate. I think that's the biggest thing, so then you don't have the mixed signals or the misunderstandings or the frustration, because I'm thinking one thing and he's thinking another. So I think it's good to keep that in mind, that if you're going to start something, be willing to continue it, and if not, have that conversation. Don't just be like, I'm done. And they were like, well, why you not? They talk, communicate, explain where you coming from, so they can have a better understanding. So now they're not getting frustrated and irritable because you just all of a sudden, I'm done. I'm not doing that no more because I just don't want to. Well, okay, but now the person's gotten used to it. So what are they supposed to do? So I think we just have to be mindful when we're ready to either adjust or switch up or do something, to communicate with your significant other as to what's going on with you, why you decided that or whatever. That way it limits the mixed signals and the frustration as well. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Like I said, there's a lot of reasons why people, stop doing things. And one, you have to really be honest with yourself. Is this a person that you want to continue to do those things for? Because there's a lot of people that get into these relationships and get into these marriages where when we were single and we were just dating, oh, I got everything I wanted. We slept together all the time. We had fun. We did this, that, and the third. But as soon as we got married, like a month or two into the marriage, now we didn't cut off. So what is it? Were you just doing that just to get a ring? Or, like at that point, I'm thinking you messing with somebody else. Like, you ain't messing with me, so where you getting it from? But because there's a lot of people that go through marriages like that where people were more attracted to what they had to offer and not attracted to them. And so you definitely don't want to deceive anybody going through thinking that you love me for me and you really love me for what I can provide. And so now you start, once you got in here and you figure you ain't got settled in, now you want to switch up and now you want to withhold yourself and not do this or not do that. Just because and that was your plan the whole time. So we're not trying to go into these marriages with false, intentions, because it seems like people who really want to take care of you the most are the ones who get treated the worst. We take those people for granted until we get later in life and you realize that what you had and how you should have been toward that person. And we don't want people to go through that. We want you to avoid that. It's hard to find somebody that's down for you out here. It just is. You don't want to go into a situation where you're being deceitful about things. And like I said, I don't want to be thinking one thing and you really got ulterior motives about what you're doing. We need to be on the same page, because you don't get those marriages like your grandparents had or some of your parents had, where they've been married for 20, 30, 40, 50 years if both people are not on the same page. Doesn't mean they're not going to agree on everything. I mean, you're going to have your disagreements and things, but the general purpose while we're here, we should be here for each other. We should be here to support each other, willing to do the things that, even though it may not be comfortable, you may have thought you may never had to do it. But these are things that we are doing for each other because I truly love you and I truly care about you and your well-being. And so selfish people can fake it. Some people show you straight up and you just ignore the signs, but you really need to find out, why are you here? Are you really here because you really want to be here? Or you just like all the stuff I can provide? You like the kind of job I have, the kind of money I make, what the car I drive, and this, that, and the third. Do you like the house that I have? Or do you actually want to build a home? Do you want to build a family and a life together?
No, that's a good point there. I think we need to normalize being honest, like just genuinely being honest of where you coming from. Like, there's no, like he said, don't come in to any relationship, not even headed to marriage, but just dealings with people that you're considering dating or whatever. Let's just be honest about what it is that we want. And I feel like sometimes people don't know what they want. But if you don't come in here making it seem like, oh, this and that, and you not ready for all of that or whatever the case may be. But just be upfront and honest so somebody can understand what it is they're getting into. Because I do believe as time goes, you will kind of see if somebody's there for you or if it's just what you can offer. But again, like he said, you have to pay attention. Because sometimes we want something so bad that we'll overlook the signs that we see and it's like, no, we're good. But no, you need to recognize what you're seeing is right. If you feel like, I think they might be just, using me for whatever I can get or just to have a good time, whatever it may be, go with your first notion. Like, don't ignore it just because you're like, nah, I think they cool. I really want to. If you got a little eerie feeling about it or you like kind of suspect on what their intentions are, either ask them about it or if you feel uncomfortable, then you just need to go ahead and go your own way. But I think we need to normalize being honest, not only with others, but with yourself. If you with talking to this person, you're like, nah, I don't see nothing in this. Okay, don't waste their time and don't waste yours. But I think sometimes people are like, well, I just, see what either I can get or I'll just go through the motions and we'll just see. But you got to remember, people, time, you can't get time back, but then also your emotions get tied up in that. Even if you may not be feeling the individual, but they're feeling you, that's not fair to them. Because now it seems like you dragging them along just because you want to see, but then you have no intentions of it going anywhere. So why not go ahead and be like, you know what? You really nice guy, nice young lady or whatever, but I don't see this going anywhere. I'd rather you do that than string somebody along to where they're thinking, oh, this is going somewhere, but you really like, nah, I'm good just hanging out and kicking it. But you've been doing this for how long? So yeah, those are the mixed signals and the mixed messages that people give off when they're not honest and upfront. And granted, everybody is not that way and it's unfortunate, but we also have to kind of self-check ourselves and be like, you know what, is this really something that I want to do? And pay, like you said, pay attention. Because people will show you. Eventually, they will start to show you that they're not as into you as you are to them. And then you have to be like, okay, you know what, let me go ahead and get on out of this because it's not going anywhere and be okay with it. Like, that's not the end. There's more people out there. I was talking about there's more fish in the sea. There's more people out there. There's somebody that's going, like he said earlier, like you for you, so you don't have to settle. Just because you talking about your clock and all this stuff and you had a certain time frame and different things like that. Sometimes we just gotta be still and wait. Because when we jump out there and start doing stuff on our own, we mess stuff up. If we just wait and give it time, everything will fall in place. But don't settle, y'all. Don't settle. Don't feel like, oh, I have to because it's time. I've been waiting. No. Because sometimes we jump into stuff and then we're not able to get out of it. Or feelings, like I said, and everything gets wrapped up in it. And then if we done wrong, then now we upset and mad at everybody. But we just got to be still and wait sometimes. And pay attention to what's presented. I think a lot of times we overlook stuff because we want something so bad that we'll be like, no, that's just, that was one time thing, or no, that's just how she is or he is. They not like that all the time. No, you've seen it more than once, but you're ignoring it. Don't do that to yourself. What they say, if they show you who they are, believe them. You ain't got to be like, oh, well, no. But just pay attention to those things. Because I think when we don't, that's when we get ourselves into more, I would say heartbreak, I guess, and more unnecessary hurt than I believe we should if we pay attention to the signals that people are giving us when it comes to. And then I think, too, before I turn it back over to my husband, is it I mean, I know, like, I don't expect him to treat me like I would treat him or vice versa because we're different. But is it reciprocal in the fact of maybe attention or time, or they say you make time for the things you want to make time for. So are they always blowing, you know what I mean? Small things. Are they always blowing me off? Do they not have time for me anymore? Like 3 months ago, you had all the time in the world. But again, you have to communicate that because something could have changed. I don't know if it's job, I don't know, whatever. but you don't want to have anybody assuming something may be going on or whatever the case may be. So you definitely have to communicate what's going on, but you got to pay attention. Do they enjoy, you know what I'm saying? Do they enjoy being your company? Do they make time to spend with you? I ain't saying it's got to be their whole day, but do they fit you into their world, so to speak? So I think you have to look at all of that when it comes to mixed signals and relationships. What do you think?
Well, piggybacking on that, you also have to understand: are you an enjoyable person to be around? Because a lot of people think they are and they're not. Some of y'all are just y'all are not good people to be around, and they blame everybody else, but it's you. Yeah. So when you talk about don't settle for anybody. Something is not settling. Some things you're going to have to come off of. You're going to have to adjust in order to coexist with somebody, in order to be interdependent with them, where you can do your thing. Y'all can take care of business and y'all can work together.
That is true, but let me clarify on my settling. Is yes, no, some of y'all know y'all are not enjoyable to be around. But when I was saying don't settle, is what I mean as far as staying in a situation that you know you don't need to stay in. Because when I was talking about paying attention to signs, sometimes we stay longer in relationships and different things because we want it so bad, but it's not the best situation for us. So that's what I'm talking about as far as settling. Be able to recognize when it's time to go. And don't hold on just because you want to be with somebody or because you don't want to be by yourself. Because I've seen that as well. And it does not work out. Does not work out good. So when I listen to your friend now, do not settle when it comes to that type of situation and mindset, because it's not going to do anything but cause more stress on you. It's emotionally draining and it's not worth it. Especially when you can step out of that, free yourself, get yourself together and work on yourself and then prepare for somebody else. But you stick in that, you're going to be drained, you're going to be tired, you're going to be frustrated, all of the above. So don't settle as it relates to the person not I want to say giving you what you need, but if it's not reciprocated, I feel like a relationship, there should be some type of reciprocation as far as your attention, your concern, your availability. It should be reciprocated. Because y'all trying to grow together, y'all trying to get to know each other. So you should be able to carve out a little bit of time for one another. And if y'all understand kind of where y'all going in y'all life, okay, it might not be all the time up under each other 24/7. However, you make time for the things you want to make time for. So keep that in mind when you're out here, dating or whatever the case may be. Just be mindful of that. Are they willing to make adjustments, like he said, make adjustments and different things like that? But you don't have to settle. No, you don't.
Well, that depends on, because some people it's not settling. It's exactly what they want.
Okay. Well, go ahead, sir.
So, it's bad when it doesn't work out, but it's good because they get excitement out of it, or they like that chaos in their life. Okay. And so, like I said, we can tell people there, don't settle. Some people they don't think they're settling, but you settle for something. The whole thing about finding somebody to settle down with is finding somebody to slow down and you can build a family with. Mm-hmm. It's not just you just picking somebody just because. It's not like Christmas shopping at the last minute where you just have to grab whatever they got on the shelf. This is about finding somebody to where you're out in the world, you're doing everything you want to do, but somebody you can slow down because you're tired of doing that. You want somebody that, like I say, you can build a family with, somebody that you can grow old with, that take care of you. Y'all can raise kids and do travel and do whatever else y'all want to do without all the other mess in between. And that life, just to be honest with you, it is a boring life. Boring as in peaceful. And it's hard for people to want peace when there's no peace in them. That's why they go to these situations with all this chaos, when these people who they know are going to do wrong, they're going to mess with everybody, they're going to be in everybody else's face, y'all going to argue, y'all going to fight, because a healthy relationship that doesn't do all that is a lot of times boring to a lot of those people because they don't know how to handle it. There was a video I seen a couple weeks back where there were a lot of ladies that were saying they had a good dude. They were in that good relationship and it got boring. And they left because they were bored, because You didn't have somebody that was arguing. You didn't have somebody you had to wonder where they were when they weren't answering their phone or what they were doing when they weren't around you, because they got used to that. And so there's a lot of people in chaos who operate in chaos and they cannot function without it. So finding that kind of person, you can find somebody to argue with all the time, but finding somebody to live that kind of life with is hard because you have to do some changing yourself. So it's not all, sometimes it's the person. Sometimes you have to want better for yourself and you have to understand what you have to do and what you're going to have to give up to have that life. And a lot of people don't want to do it because they rather be entertained than sustained. So you want somebody to take care of you, but you still want to go out here and live this wild lifestyle. And that doesn't go together with a long-term relationship. Now, there's both of y'all just crazy and y'all just determined to stay together. But eventually, if I can't trust what you're doing, you don't trust what I'm doing. If I'm not giving you any peace about where you are and your place here, and you're not giving me any peace here, most times those relationships don't stay long. So that would say, it's not, just about selling for anybody, but I can't settle for somebody who doesn't want what I want. So it's not just about the bad things. If you don't want to give up this wild lifestyle, then I can't bring you in here because I'm not trying to live that. And that's a lot of things with a lot of people is you're still trying to make me meet your non-negotiables, but you don't want to meet mine. Like, you want me to change for you, but you don't want to change for me. And that's not going to work. And so that's why a lot of it's not just about, saying people do you wrong. A lot of people don't want to do that because they don't want to change. They don't think they should compromise in relationships. That's where they come in and say, I'm not going to settle, because they think they're going to get everything they're supposed to, and they don't.
And then you got to be out. That's why I just said you got to recognize that. If you talking to somebody and you see that they like to hang out, party, or whatever, and they have no intentions of changing this behavior for you, it's time to go. Like, that's what goes back to paying attention. Oh no, they're going to change. No, they're not. They're showing you right now that they have no intentions of changing up or doing anything different. And once you recognize that, then you have to be like, you know what? I'm going to have to cut my losses. I'm going to have to move on. That's why I said pay attention. Yeah, you got some people that love chaos, but you don't, so that's not your person. Cute and everything, but like to be crazy and like to be wild, and that's not you. Yeah, you might be attracted to it for a little bit, but as far as long term, if you're looking for something long term, then you got to be like, no, I'm good, and go on about your business. But again, you have to recognize that and be okay with that. Be okay with saying, nah, I'm good. And again, yes, you do have people out there that are not ready for that, or not ready to commit or adjust or make adjustments or change or do something different. Why? Because they want to stay how they are. Okay, you being selfish. So again, these are things that you can watch and pay attention to. Even in dating. Like, what are you willing? And granted, people will show you some things here and there, but can they sustain it long term? Probably not. Because they know that's really not something they want to do. But again, that's paying attention. That's conversation. That's knowing who you're dealing with. And again, back to mixed signals. Don't think once you get married to somebody, all of a sudden, all of this over here, if they was partying and doing all this stuff prior to, unless it's a discussion that you had, don't expect that to change just like that. Because a lot of people think, oh, when we get married, it's going to be different. I can change. She ain't going to want to go to the... Says who? What is going to be the difference? Especially if you haven't talked about that. Because you got to remember, this is how you met this person. You enjoyed that, remember? The hanging out, the going out, the being... You was okay with it. Now, you getting married, things may have changed. You may not be. Okay, that goes back to, again, a conversation. You got to remember where you meeting people at. Where you find, you know what I'm saying? Where you finding these people. These men and these women that you're saying that you want maybe possibly a long-term thing with. Okay, but where's the mindset? Are they ready to do that right now? They might be like, nah, I want to be able to hang out, be free a little bit more. And if they're telling you this, don't ignore it. Either fish a little bit more, get a little more insight, but don't be like, oh no, they're just saying that in the next year or so they'll be ready. But you don't know that for sure. So don't bank it on that. That's why I go back to always having a conversation. If you feeling like, oh, you ready to go to this next level, but they're not, pay attention to that too. Don't try to force it. Because what you don't want to do is make somebody feel like you pressuring them into this, and then now they get into it, and then they blaming you for every, you know what I mean? Oh, you wanted me to do, Make sure when you make this decision, it's a decision that you make, and you want to be here. Make sure you want to be here now, because I think people fail to realize marriage is good, it's great, but it's work. It ain't something you just after the the wedding's fun, planning and all that, great. But you gotta live after that. And it's two people coming together that you gotta adjust for each other. Like it's no longer just about you, it's no longer just about him. Now it's about us. How can we build this thing together? How can we make this thing work? Not saying you forget about yourself, but then you do have to not be selfish. You got to think about the other person as y'all are growing together. So yes, we're growing, separately, but then we got to also grow together and come together and be like, hey, you thought about this? Did you think about that? How are you open to this? Open to that? It's compromise. It's discussion. You're not always going to agree, but that's what you signed up for, to say, I'm going to do this forever with this person. Ups, downs, highs, lows, whatever that looks like, you signed up for. So I think we just have to be mindful of all of that. Conversation, what you really want, your desires. Am I ready to hang up this? Am I ready not to do that anymore? How do they feel about me doing this? Are they okay with this or that? And if they're telling you, that they're not, or there's some things, you got to look at that. Like, you just can't flat out be like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Da, da, da. You can, but that's not going to help you in the long run in your marriage, because now it's still looking like you being selfish. Because I've always said, if somebody comes to you and tells you how they feel about something and you ignore it, that's not a good thing, because then you let me know you don't care. At least acknowledge it and see if there's a way you can work on it or whatever. Might not happen overnight, but you heard what the person said, how it affect them, whatever, and you're willing to make those changes and adjustments. That shows somebody that, okay, they heard what I said. They may not, fully understand or whatever, but they're willing to make a change for me. I believe that goes a long way when you're talking about relationships, marriage, whatever, being willing to adjust for another person. And if you're not, it's questionable. Do you care? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they belong to the streets.
Not everybody.
These belong to the streets.
Not everybody.
But yeah, there's a lot they're saying there's a lot that goes into that decision, and hopefully you come to that decision before you make some life changing or have some life changing event with this person, and you find out you don't really want to be with them. Like y'all mess around and get pregnant or something like that. Now they're in your life, and you really ain't got no choice. Now you might not marry them, but they there and they got your child, or you got a child with this person, so. And that affects a whole lot of other decisions you have as well. But like I said, a lot of times, a lot of this stuff can be found out just from conversation. Yeah. Finding out what what their head is at. What do they want to do? About marriage, you want to get married? What do you see marriage as? A relationship. What do you see yourself in a relationship? If you still want to be in a relationship and you still want to live out here like you single, then you for the streets. I'm gonna let you go. You gotta find. I'm not knocking you for what you want, but I got to find somebody that wants what I want. So you can do your thing. That's fine. You don't want to compromise on anything. If you want somebody who got this, that, and the third, and they got to have all that, and you're not going to settle for less, then go ahead. Go do what you want to do. But I got to find somebody who's willing to compromise with me. I'm not going to knock you, but just understand, like I said, there's choices and trade-offs. So whatever you're not willing to compromise on now, you might wish you years later you compromised on. So, but it is what it is. But like I said, it's all about just getting on the same page, because we're better together. So we just need to work together and be on the same page on what we're doing. Understand what the plan is. Does this person want what you want? Not I can change them. Not I hope they telling me straight up they don't want to do what I want to do, but I ain't hearing none of that because I want what I want, and then wonder why it's not working out. When a person tells you, "Hey, I'm not trying to be in a relationship with you. I ain't trying to settle down with you. I ain't trying to do that." Believe them. Don't go putting that energy into it. They just told you straight up they're not going to do what you want them to do. They don't want what you want, or if they want it, they don't want it with you. So, don't waste your time with somebody who doesn't want the things that you want. There's plenty of people out here, and sometimes we want what we want so much that we'll keep chasing something that keeps rejecting us. We'll keep chasing something that straight up told us they don't want what we want and they don't want to be with us. And you'll still continue to chase and stalk this person, hoping that they change, hoping that they change their mind, hoping that one day they see you and want to do right by you. They're not. There's plenty of people out here that want to, but the problem is you don't want to be with them. You want what you want. And so now you get a no man's and no woman's land where the people that want you don't want to be with, and then the people that you want don't want you.
My goodness.
And so now you stay in this situation, and now all of a sudden now you got to get to this point where I'm here by choice. I choose to be this way. No, you're there by choices. They're not there because they want to be single. They're single by choices because they refused the people who wanted to do right by them because they kept chasing somebody they hope or what they thought was going to be good for them that automatically showed them they didn't want them. So we don't want people to get into that situation. Love those who love you. If somebody wants to go do right by you, you can fall in love with somebody. You can give them a chance. You can get to know them and fall in love with a person. It's better to do that than chasing somebody who just going to use you and keep doing whatever they want to do, and you're never going to get that commitment from them. But anything else you want to add before we close?
And I think too, as we head out from this conversation, just remember too that growth can take place at any time. Because I don't want us to get into the mindset of, oh, we're on the same page, but I want to be at least in the same. We don't have to be on exactly the same page, but at least in the same ballpark. Y'all get what I'm saying? So a person, like you said, that actually is interested in marriage, they may not be quite there as far as wanting things in place, maybe finance, whatever case may be. But they said, oh, I would like to be married in my life. Okay, that's something you can work with other than somebody on the other end of the spectrum telling you, I have never, ever thought about it, don't want to do it. That is not something I want to do. If they're telling you that, again, you can't force that. So just keep in mind that growth can happen at any time if they're in the same ballpark. But if somebody's way over here with their thought process, they're probably not going to come back this way anytime soon to be like, oh, all of a sudden I want to do it. Because like you said, there's either some things that have taken place that they've said that's not one of the things I ever want to do. And then you over here have within the next 2 years, you know what I'm saying, that you want to be married, engaged, whatever. Okay, now that's your timeline. That ain't going to fit with this individual over here that's saying, no, never, ever, I don't want to do it. So I think we just have to be mindful of those things, but also understanding that if somebody says, yes, I do want to do that, and I do eventually, but it might not be in this 2-year mark, can you work, you know what I'm saying? Can you work with that? Can you work with the person that's like, I would like to get some things in order before, like y'all are still in the same ballpark. It's just not the timeline is not the same. But that doesn't mean, oh, they're not ready, they don't want to. It's just they want to get some things in order. So that's different. Is what I'm talking about is growth and understanding. You can work with that. But if y'all on two different ends, you got to just pay attention to that. And don't try to make things happen when somebody's telling you, nah, I'm good, I don't want to do that. So, good topic. I hope y'all got something out of it today with the mixed signals. And just continue to communicate, y'all. Continue to communicate. Stay open to possibilities. Don't shut things out because it might not quite be on your timeline or your, the image that you have for this individual, this person. Because sometimes the image you had of the person you wanted is not necessarily the person that you need. Does it make sense? And I think sometimes we got to get, yes, looks and stuff matter and give you that. But y'all got to look at character. Y'all got to start looking at character and these people's thought processes and different things like that. Because some people can look good and be the meanest thing ever, or vice versa. So some stuff we got to be like, okay, you cute, but something not right. Something missing. And pay attention. So yeah, we got to start looking at the person, the individual, what do they bring to the table. And it's not always finance. It's not always finances. It's good, but that's not the only thing that they should be bringing to the table. But that's another topic for another day. But we thank y'all again for joining us this evening, this morning for this topic. Again, drop some comments or anything in the chat when y'all come across it. Let us know what you thought. If you got anything to share with us, please do feel free. And we look forward to seeing y'all the next time. What you got?
That's it. And just remember, don't ignore reality chasing the fantasy. So don't chase what your ideal person is, instead of chasing the person that really loves you realistically.
That's good.
And so don't miss out on that chasing fantasies. But
sounds good.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you next time.
Y'all have a good one.
Yep.